There is always light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes when the world looks so chaotic, or when your life is being challenged so hard by just circumstances in life, period, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it's not. Because what you focus on expands. What you put your energy into becomes your reality. What you set your eyes to becomes your world. So there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And only you get to define that light that's at the end of your tunnel. Because all of our tunnels are different. Because all of our challenges are very different. So understand that you get to define the light at the end of your tunnel. You get to define your tunnel while you go through it. The world, circumstances, people don't get to define your tunnel or the light that you get to. You get to define that. So you get to choose it for your own life. Understand that even in the midst of being challenged, if you feel like you are challenged, period, in your life, or in everything that's going on in the chaos of the world, if you feel challenged, you always have to understand there is always a divine timing and a divine place for everything. And though we may not understand the divine timing and the place of why things happen the way they happen in our lives, it is all part of God's plan. It is all part of God's divine timing. So you get to choose whether you stay in a state of darkness while you go through your challenging times, or you get to choose to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can either go through your tunnel and continue to stay focused on the light that you are going to see at the end of the tunnel, or you can stay in your tunnel and stay focused on all the negativity around you. But you get to define it. You get to define your tunnel. No one else does. You get the opportunity to define whether you want to look up and see the light. But as long as you always holding your head down, as long as you always staying in a place of only seeing chaos and darkness and confusion and negativity, then that's where your reality will be. That's where your world will stay. That's where your spirit will stay. It will stay in a place of chaos. But when you can choose to allow your spirit to soar, when you can choose to still see the light at the end of the tunnel, when you can choose to still smile and see the positive outcome of everything that's happening around you in spite of what you're seeing physically, then that's the world you will create. You will create a reality around you that's seeing the light. You will create your world based on you seeing the beauty in everything. So you get to choose. You get to define your tunnel. You get to choose whether you want to see the light or whether you want to stay in the darkness. You get to choose it. No one else chooses it. Your circumstances doesn't choose it for you. People don't choose it for you. The chaos in the world that's going on now, that doesn't choose it for you. You get to define. You get to choose it for yourself. And I know this very, very well. And I know this when I say, and I've said it in all my other videos, where even in the time where my boyfriend passed away 1 year and 4 months ago, and I said this in other videos, and I know y'all heard it a lot, but even in the other videos when I said he passed away tragically in a car accident, and 4 a.m. I get the call that he was gone and dead. He was gone. So understand that right in that moment, when I found out that he passed away, I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. All I saw was darkness. All I saw was a state of depression. All I saw was myself going through the tunnel of darkness, but no light at the end. And when I tell you guys that the only thing I could do sometimes was stay in that tunnel in darkness until I can see the light. That's all I could do. So sometimes you have to understand that even if you're going through a tunnel of darkness and you just can't see that light just yet, you can't see that little speck of light, you can't even grab the speck of light, understand that in the midst of all of that darkness around you, God is comforting you. And that's what I want people to understand, that even in the midst of all of this chaos, God is comforting us. If you choose to embrace God's peace, if you choose to embrace God's love, if you choose to embrace this as an opportunity to really, really draw closer to God and be in tune with His Spirit and what He is telling you in this time, you'll get it. Nobody could pull me out of that tunnel of darkness when He passed away. Nobody could get me to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Even though I would hear people say it, but nobody had to go through that tunnel but me. So a lot of times when you're going through your tunnel of darkness and nobody can really understand the depths of what you're going through, and nobody can really understand the depths of why you're going through it, sometimes you gotta understand that if you're in that tunnel of darkness, understand that God will give you the light that you need to see your way out of it. But it's up to you whether you want to take the light and see it. It's up to you whether you choose to embrace that light that God is giving you to see at the end of your tunnel. And when you choose to see the light, when you choose to stop holding your head down, when you choose to hold your head up to the sky, when you choose to say, but yet, God, I trust you. Yet, God, I trust you. I trust you, God. I trust you. Even in a world full of chaos, God, I trust you. Even in my dark tunnel, God, I trust you. I trust you. I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but I trust you. And I'm going to still continue to see the beauty in this tunnel. Because if I'm in this tunnel, I'm going through this tunnel of darkness for a reason. If I'm being challenged by things, I'm being challenged by them for a reason. If I'm going through something, or if I'm being challenged by something that I don't know how I'm going to get out of, I'm being challenged because it's something that you need to do internally in me, God, to grow me, to help me evolve. Because you have to understand, a lot of times in everything that we are going through in this world with all the chaos, it's just a spiritual death. And a lot of times with spiritual death comes spiritual rebirth. And that's a lot of times, this is what I mean by the darkness in the tunnel. A lot of times we focus on the spiritual death, but we don't understand what's coming behind the spiritual death. Spiritual rebirth is coming. And if you notice, when you're going through a spiritual death, you really can't do anything but just go through it. You really can't do anything but just go through that tunnel. But a lot of times as people, we don't understand that if God is allowing us to see the chaos in our lives and be challenged by things, even if you're going through a lot of transitions in your life so quickly, and you don't really understand it, and you don't really know what to do with everything that you're going through so quickly, understand that it is all part of God's divine timing, and nothing is by accident. But you get to decide whether you want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You get to decide whether you want to see the light even right now. You get to decide it. And once you decide whether you want to see the light or whether you want to stay in a place of darkness, then you get to decide what you want to do with that. But I would encourage everybody to understand that it's just life. It's life. When I say to you guys that nobody could pull me up out of that tunnel of darkness when my boyfriend passed away a year and 4 months ago, nobody could pull me out of that state of depression. Nobody could pull me out of that state of deep, deep darkness. Nobody could. It was going to be a time and a place where God was going to let me see the light to come out of it. And that's why I'm doing these YouTube videos. That's why I'm here, because I know what it's like to go in such a deep state of darkness where you cannot even possibly see any light there. And then to come out and finally see the light. And you understand why you had to go through what you went through. And so now I understand why I had to go through such a deep, deep, dark tunnel. Because if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be right here where I'm at as of this moment. So you get to choose your tunnel. You get to choose how you want to see the light. You get to choose it. You get to choose to see the beauty even in the midst of chaos. You get to choose to even hear the music even when everything is crazy around you. You get to choose to still have your peace even when everything else around you is not peace. You get to choose it. Two people are sitting on a train. The girl in front is looking out the window, depressed, sad, because there's so much going on in her world that she's challenged by. Another young lady sitting behind her, she's challenged by a lot too. She's going through a lot too. But she chose to look out the window on the train, and she chose to see the beauty in everything that she's seen as she ride on this train. She chose to look up at the sky. She chose to see the trees. She chose to see everything. She chose to look up at the stars. She chose to see the beauty. Even in the midst of her challenges, she chose to see the beauty. Two people are in a park. Two people are in a park. One person is very distraught and just unhappy. And the other young lady is just singing music, just happy, she feel free, she feel alive. And the other girl is like, why is she singing? I'm sick of this. I don't want to hear that. But do you understand what I'm saying? One of the young ladies choose to be happy. She choose to see the beauty. She choose to hear the music. And the other one chose not to. And that's what I say to you guys. You get to choose. You get to choose.